Hey everybody, what's up? So, today is, most unironically, Mental Health Day here in Canada for 2019. So for anybody who doesn't know, what that means is that today is supposed to be a day that you go out or you stay in and you take care of your own mental health instead of having to focus on so many other things that are going on in your life. Here's the interesting part about mental health days. Everyone's mental health day is going to look a little different. Why? Often because everybody's mental health is a little bit different. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, why do you need a mental health day if you don't have a diagnosed mental health illness? Here's the other issue. That's not where it starts and stops. Clinically, yes, that is exactly where it starts and stops, is a medical diagnosis from preferably a registered psychologist who has all the credentials to diagnose you. But mental health doesn't stop at the clinic doors. Mental health is something you have to deal with every day of your life. So for someone, and for most of the population, this is what happens. You basically have to live every day dealing with all kinds of different activities going on. You've got your work life, you've got a social life, hopefully. You have your personal life. You have fun activities, you have activities that you hate, you have to pay bills, you have to work a job, everything coming at you all at once while trying to maintain what is supposed to be the socially accepted version of a normal, good life. The problem with that, for me, is that I'm not diagnosed with a mental health illness. Probably A, because I've never gone to see a psychologist for one, and B, because I feel personally I can manage most of my own issues by myself. Some of it because I am a psychology student, so I know some triggers and how to deal with them. But here's my major issues. I struggle with a lot of different anxieties, one of them being body dysmorphia. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, body dysmorphia is a condition of the mind, basically, where you hyper-focus on one particular trait and either overemphasize or underemphasize it to an extreme level. So, most commonly when people talk about body dysmorphia, we talk about things that are fairly visible, like physical traits such as a nose that you think is above average size, when in fact it may be just a little bit different shaped. You have a little bit wider nostrils, you have a little bit more longer nose. We're not talking like, no, you have a major physical deformity here. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about things that are totally normal, that to the most common eye would be just something different about you. But you take it to be the weirdest, the most extreme thing ever. And one of the things I find, for me, I have two major ones. One is my psoriasis. For anyone who is not aware, psoriasis is an actual medical genetic condition. It occurs in probably about 4% of the population according to medical studies. What happens with psoriasis is that most of the time, you don't know you have it until you have it. So, typically what kicks it off is high levels of stress and a common pathogen virus, such as something like, strep throat. For me, that was the kickoff. It was my grade 9 year. Stress? Yeah, lots of stress. And strep throat went through the school because, high schools and schools in general are plague central. So, that kickstarted my psoriasis very early on in my life. I am going to be dealing with it for the rest of my life. As you can kind of see from the video already, I am in the middle of a flare-up. It's not really that bad. At one point, when I first got it, I was like 90% covered from head to toe. This flare-up, probably about a 15 to 20%. So, looks a little odd, especially because I have my hair cut short, and it's right here, right at the eyebrow level, right where you can see it anytime you look at my face. And honestly, having this condition can give you the worst anxiety ever. Because for anyone who has psoriasis knows that during a flare-up, you get red patches. You get white flaky patches. And in severe flare-ups, especially if you have it on your scalp, you become your own walking snow globe of basically dead skin cells because your body is trying to create more than it needs. And that can be really hard for your mental health. Because you're constantly worrying about, okay, what color am I wearing? Can I get away with a darker shirt today? Can I wear a nice sweater? Or am I going to look like I have an entire snow globe coming off my shoulders? It's that bad. I know for me, this last month, I've gotten a lot of comments on it. Because I'm in my annual flare-up season. What causes flare-ups for psoriasis? Stress. Stress, and stress. Which brings us back to mental health. Because this time of the year for me is probably my busiest. I'm back in school, I'm working 2 jobs to pay my bills, I am attempting a social life, I'm trying to lose weight, I'm trying to do a whole bunch of different things and maintain my apartment. Which, let's be honest, we all hate housework. Everyone does. Don't lie to yourselves. And so I'm in the middle of my annual flare. I get comments. And honestly, as someone with psoriasis, that is the hardest thing to deal with. Because it feeds into the back cycle of psoriasis, which someone makes a comment, you comment back, you try to ignore the fact that someone just commented on the fact that they think, hey, you've got something wrong with your skin, what's wrong with you? And then you try and go on with your day, and then it happens 5 more times in that day. Which feeds back to the stress loop, which then, in turn, turns around and causes the psoriasis to flare either longer or more. So, here's a little tidbit. For anyone, in any situation, unless someone is actually severely bleeding, looks like they are suffering from something that could be either excruciatingly painful, don't comment on it. Because oftentimes it just makes the person feel worse, instead of making them feel better. And honestly, no. You wouldn't comment on someone's acne. Why would you comment about a rash on someone's skin or the way their face looks? Like, no. Guys, don't do it. Just please don't. Don't do it. It doesn't help anyone to make commentary unless you think there is something possibly life-threateningly wrong with them. If I'm bleeding from my scalp, please, if I don't appear to know it, tell me I'm bleeding from the scalp. Because you can pass out from bleeding from the scalp. Just a little FYI, guys. Scalp wounds don't stop bleeding until you make them stop bleeding. Got it? Got it? Okay, moving on. So the other major thing that I deal with on a very frequent basis that I feel gets probably not a lot of attention, unless you're from an LGBT community, is body dysmorphia as it pertains to body fat. So, yes, we've all heard, oh, I look so fat. Do these jeans make my butt look fat? And typically the people asking these kinds of questions are not people who need to worry about their body fat content weights. Let's be honest. It's mostly people either fishing for compliments or who are maybe a little bit more concerned about their weight than they should be in actuality. However, and this is the part that usually gets me, is the fact that it's not really talked about for men until we get to obesity levels where we're making beer gut and spare tire jokes. I struggle with my body dysmorphia on that front severely. Partly because I am a gay man. And for anyone who doesn't know that, here's the trouble with body dysmorphia in men. It often goes untalked about because we're sort of told from a social perspective that that's just a thing. You have to man up and buck up, dude. You're gonna look the way you look. Doesn't really work that way in your own head, unfortunately. So for me, I have a bit of a spare tire. I have had one for, probably over half my life. I was the chunky kid. I will be totally honest. I liked sweets. I love sweets. Cookies were my delight. Absolutely loved it. Did I enjoy sports? A little bit of basketball, yes. Did I swim as a kid? Sure. Did I really care about playing sports? No. Did I care about my health? Not really. Why? I grew up in the 90s. The 90s was at least the middle of the 90s before the major food and health appearance wave made its come through on North America's front. So here I am, in my 30s, looking like I may have been drinking beer my whole life. I got a little chunk in my trunk and a lot of funk up front. Got a little bit under the arms too, just for extra added efforts. And honestly, for me, those are the parts that I see every time I take my shirt off. Even if I know personally that I'm having a great day. I woke up feeling rested, I had food, I'm having a good day, I've talked to friends, and I've had like an amazing workout, or I've been with my trainer and I'm wearing like my favorite tank top. Anytime I see myself in a mirror, that's all I can see is the underarm fat, the chunk in the middle. And it honestly is very disheartening because North American males are trained from a very young age, especially now, with social media being literally everywhere. Thank you, Instagram, and Tumblr, and Facebook even, that men are supposed to be small-waisted, long-legged, have abs, and are either lean and muscular or are very large and muscular. And that's how you should be. That's not the case for probably a good 60% of the North American male population. Some because they have other medical conditions that make weight gain and loss a very hard part of their lives. Some are thyroid, some are diabetes, but the general idea is that if you do not fit this norm, you're just lazy. And frankly, that's kind of a problem for me. Because I work out probably 5 to 7 days a week. I am struggling because I don't always have time. I frequently don't have the time to dedicate like I should to nutrition. So my weight shift doesn't happen. So on days like today, where I saw my personal trainer and had every intention of going back to the gym tonight, I ended up staying home, not really doing anything, eating chips and salsa. A nice snack every once in a while, yes. But I don't feel good about it. Anytime I miss my secondary workouts, if I plan to do a secondary workout that day, I feel awful. Absolutely awful about myself. Because all I can hear in my head is, oh, well, now you're being lazy. Better make sure it's not a habit, fatty. Because that's what you hear internally when you talk about men and body dysmorphia, about body fat. is that internal voice that society has programmed us to listen to. That if we don't fit the mold of being this young, athletic-looking dude, or even for the older guys, we've got lots of men in their 50s and older who are really great at keeping themselves in shape, have been for years, and some who have completely reinvented themselves. It's not something that we talk about, and it's hard, because for anyone trying to find that motivation, who has to do things the hard way, who have to work multiple jobs, who have no way to necessarily consistently have good nutrition on their side because they have multiple jobs or they have multiple things to do. They have a family to raise, they have kids, they have friends, they have neighbors. They do stuff. Nobody talks about how it's perfectly okay, or that we need to have a discussion about how we feel about our body fat. Because the general consensus in North America is just simply you're lazy. You got fat because you're lazy. You like too much sweets. You drink too much. And that's not the case often. So for someone like me, I know I have had to step up my personal settings. I have had to increase the number of workouts I do a week. I had to increase the intensity of my workouts this week. And you know what kickstarted it? Progress pictures. I follow a lot of bodybuilders. I will freely admit, probably not a good idea. But motivation, right? Lots of them have clients, and lots of them have clients that are doing amazing. I have seen a lot of clients of a lot of people who have changed their bodies for the better. The problem for me was one of those people is my personal trainer. And this is nothing against him. Absolutely not. This is definitely all on me. I'm the only one of his clients not in his Transformation Tuesday pictures. I'm not. Am I one of his strongest clients? Yes, definitely. My deadlift? Absolutely insane. Way better than most of his other clients, including clients that are younger than me. He's got guys who are at least 3 other men that I know of that are younger than I am, who are doing amazingly well and have really shaped up very nicely. But their strength can't match mine. So, for me to be the only client not on Transformation Tuesday, and certainly what makes it worse is I'm the only male client of his not on Transformation Tuesday, it's kind of disheartening. And it's hard for me, for my own mental health, to kind of take that and remind myself that, okay, we need to take some extra time in our week. We need to start doing more meal prep stuff. We can't just rely on being able to have food at work, or the quick half an hour lunch break that we just run to the food court or a local store. And don't get me wrong, I'm picky. I am really picky. I like things with spice. I like things with flavor. Do I know how to cook all that? Probably not in the healthiest way possible, no. Do I eat out a lot? Yeah. I have a Coca-Cola addiction. I like it. It's my stress crutch. It's my go-to. Bad day, Coca-Cola. Feeling sad, Coca-Cola. Chinese dinner for supper, Pepsi. And it's hard for me to take that time to try and separate both my internal processing of my stress from all different areas and go, okay, so what can I head off to prevent reaching for a cola? In addition to, hey, How can I prep another meal for this week? Did I go grocery shopping? Because often the answer is no, I didn't go grocery shopping. Why? Because I had to pay a bill. Things came due. I paid rent. And I don't want to lean on someone else to make sure that I make the right food choices. So, I'm learning to separate myself from the guilt, and it is a lot of guilt, of not eating properly and not being on that list. Because my life, and the way my life runs right now, is nowhere near what some of the other clients' lives are. I am probably one of 4 people I know of in college trying to actively change my body. And I'm working 2 jobs. And I'm trying to keep up with the family. And trying to have a social life. And 9 times out of 10, I just don't have the time in the day to do it. I get home at midnight or later from my second round of the gym after I got off work at 10 p.m. So, let's have this discussion. Let's talk about things. And being Mental Health Awareness Day has really made me want to say, hey, we gotta talk about this. Especially when it comes to body dysmorphia for men. Because, honestly, in the gay community, one of the best phrases I have ever heard came from, I think it was Davey Wavy here over on YouTube, was that the biggest problem for facing gay men with their body image is that when we judge other men's appearance, both in what we find attractive for a partner, for romance, for sexual, for whatever, for style even, what we decide looks attractive is the same way we decide how attractive we are. Because men's bodies are our bodies too. And oftentimes, the criteria we use is absolutely destructive. Absolutely destructive. But yeah, so that's my Mental Health Awareness Day shtick. It's now after midnight, so we're past Mental Health Day, but whatever. But yeah, I am going to continue posting over on my Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you guys want to see more or want to talk about mental health stuff, comment, reach out, talk to someone. If you don't want to talk to me, that's perfectly fine. But if you are having issues, if you're looking at yourself and going, okay, I think there's something wrong, I think I'm having a problem, I'm not feeling well, I'm not doing well, you gotta reach out. Even if it's just to a friend, an anonymous counselor. Lots of public services offer counseling services. I know for sure the university here in Regina does. They offer free counseling for all students. You gotta reach out. No one's perfect. Everybody's going through their own struggles. So you guys gotta learn to be kind, and sometimes that be kind means the only person you save today is you. Have a good one, guys, and see you in my next set of videos, maybe.